Hello, and welcome to Math Matters. I'm Miss Ott, and today we are going to learn about elapsed time. For today's lesson, you will need a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen. We'll wait for you as you gather these materials. This is our learning goal for today's lesson. I can solve problems about elapsed time. This activity is called Which One Doesn't Belong? Look at the 4 images on the screen. Think about which one doesn't belong and why. Share your thinking using the sentence frame below out loud. I bet you came up with lots of ideas. Here are some that I thought of. They might match some of yours, and maybe they don't, and that's okay. One idea is that A does not belong because it is the only analog clock, while the rest of the clocks are digital. Another idea is that C doesn't belong because it is the only clock that isn't showing the time with the 9 o'clock hour. Or maybe D doesn't belong because it is the only clock showing 32 minutes while the rest show 31 minutes. Perhaps you thought B doesn't belong because it is the only clock that says if it is AM or PM. I bet you came up with some other great ideas too. Today, we are going to have a ladder climbing competition. Linda and Mark will compete against each other. The winner is the first person to get to the top of the ladder. They will climb up the ladder by answering questions about time. You will follow along by solving the problems on your own with your paper and pencil. Let's see who wins. Round 1. Linda's problem is: a movie started at 2:30 p.m. and ended at 4 p.m. How long was the movie? Solve this problem using your paper and pencil or in your mind. Linda solved her problem with the use of a number line. She labeled the number line with the start and end time of the movie. She started at 2:30 and added 1 hour to get to 3:30, and then knew she could add another 30 minutes to get to 4 p.m. She can see by the distance between the two times that the total time of the movie was 1 hour and 30 minutes. Here is Mark's problem for round 1. You started riding your bike at 9:10 a.m. and finished at 9:55 a.m. How long were you riding your bike? Work this out on your paper or in your head. Mark also used a number line to find the difference between the two times. He started by labeling his number line with the beginning and ending time. He started at 9:10 and added groups of 10 minutes until he got to 9:50. He knew that he couldn't add another 10 minutes or that would take him past the time of the bicycle ride. He knew that 9:50 plus 5 minutes would get to 9:55. By counting up the minutes in between the two times, Mark can see that the total time is 45 minutes. The movie lasted 1 hour and 30 minutes. The bike ride lasted 45 minutes. The person whose activity took the least amount of time is the person who will advance up the ladder first. Who should advance up the ladder first? "45 minutes is less than 1 hour and 30 minutes. Mark will advance up the ladder first." Mark is winning so far. Let's see what happens in round 2. Here's Linda's problem for round 2. Linda has swimming practice that starts at 3:15 p.m. and lasts for 2 hours and 48 minutes. What time did Linda finish swim practice? Take 2 minutes and work it out with your paper and pencil or in your head. Here's Mark's problem for round 2. Mark started his homework at 4:25 p.m. and did homework for 1 hour and 52 minutes. What time did Mark finish his homework? Take a couple of minutes to work this one out. There are many ways to solve these problems. Let's look at how Linda thought about it. She used a number line to show her thinking. Linda knew that swim practice started at 3:15 p.m. and lasted 2 hours and 48 minutes. She began by adding the 2 hours. She ended up at 5:15 p.m. She knew she still had 48 minutes left of swim practice. She divided that 48 minutes into 45 minutes to get to 6 p.m. and knew she still had 3 more minutes to add. Swim practice ends at 6:03 p.m. Mark also used a number line to show his thinking. He started his homework at 4:25 p.m. and worked for 1 hour and 52 minutes. Mark added 1 hour to 4:25 p.m. to get to 5:25 p.m. He knew he still had to add 52 minutes to the time. He split that up into a way that made sense to him. He knew that 5:25 plus 35 minutes would get him to 6 p.m. He knew that he still had 17 minutes to work. 6 p.m. plus 17 minutes is 6:17 p.m. Linda finished her swimming practice at 6:03 p.m. and Mark finished doing his homework at 6:17 p.m. The person who should move up the ladder is the person who finished their activity first. So who should move up the ladder? Linda finished her activity first, so she will move up the ladder. After round 2, both kids are on the first rung of their ladder. Let's see what happens in round 3. Here are the problems for round 3. This is Linda's problem. Linda's train left at 7:53 a.m. The ride lasted 12 hours and 17 minutes. What time did Linda's train arrive? Here is Mark's problem. Mark's train left at 1:38 p.m. The ride lasted 6 hours and 34 minutes. What time did Mark's train arrive? You will have 5 minutes to solve the problems on the screen. When the 5 minutes is up, come back and we'll take a look at the answers. On the screen, you can see the number line that Linda used to show her thinking. Can you find the 12 hours and 17 minutes that Linda was on the train on the number line? Linda knew that if the train started traveling at 7:53 a.m. and traveled for 12 hours, it would be 7:53 p.m. She knew she had 17 more minutes to add, so she split that up into a jump of 7 minutes and 10 minutes. Her train arrives at 8:10 p.m. Now take a look at Mark's number line. Can you find the 6 hours and 34 minutes that he was on the train on the number line? Mark knew that if he left the train station at 1:38 p.m. and traveled for 6 hours, it would be 7:38 p.m. He knew he still had 34 minutes to travel. He split that up into a jump of 2, 20, and 12. He will arrive at the train station at 8:12 p.m. In this round, the person who will arrive at the train station first will get to move up the ladder. Who will arrive first? Linda will arrive 2 minutes before Mark. That means that Linda is now in the lead. Here are the problems for round 4. Linda's problem. Linda stopped reading her book at 1:18 p.m. She had read her book for 1 hour and 28 minutes. What time did she start reading? Mark's problem. Mark finished painting his picture at 2:06 p.m. He had painted for 2 hours and 17 minutes. What time did he start painting? You will have 5 minutes to solve the problems. When the 5 minutes are up, come back and we'll check your work. Remember, as we review these problems, the way that you solved it may not look like the way Linda and Mark solved the problems. That's okay. There are many ways to solve these types of problems. Let's take a look at Linda's problem. On the screen, the number line shows her thinking. Notice that Linda started with the end time of 1:18 p.m. and worked backwards. Can you find the 1 hour and 28 minutes that Linda was reading on her number line? First, Linda jumped back 1 hour to get to 12:18 p.m. And then she split the 28 minutes into 18 minutes to get to 12 p.m. and another 10 minutes to get to 11:50 a.m. That is when she started reading. Now take a look at the number line that Mark drew to show his thinking. Can you find the 2 hours and 17 minutes that he was painting on the number line? It's easy to find where Mark jumped back 2 hours, but notice he split the minutes differently. Since he knew the end time was 2:06 p.m., he took 6 of those minutes from the 17 minutes to get back to 2 p.m. That's an easy time to work with. Then he jumped back the 2 hours to get to 12 p.m. and knew that he still had 11 minutes of the 17 to go back. Mark started painting at 11:49 a.m. These are the problems for round 4. Linda's problem. Linda stopped reading her book at 1:18 p.m. She had read her book for 1 hour and 28 minutes. What time did she start reading? Mark's problem. Mark finished painting his picture at 2:06 p.m. He had painted for 2 hours and 17 minutes. What time did he start painting? You will have 5 minutes to solve these problems. At the end of the 5 minutes, come back to the video and we'll check our answers. In this round, the person who finished their activity first will advance up the ladder. Who finished first? Mark finished 1 minute before Linda. This is a tight race. We have one more round to go. Here are the round 5 problems. Linda's problem. She started cooking at 4:20 p.m. and finished at 7:35 p.m. How long did it take her to cook dinner? Mark's problem. Mark started cleaning at 8 a.m. and finished at 10:34 p.m. How long did Mark clean? You will have 5 minutes to solve the problems. Come back to the video after the 5 minutes and we'll check your work. Remember, you could have solved these problems in many ways. Let's take a look at Linda's problem. How long did it take Linda to cook dinner? It took her 3 hours and 15 minutes. What was your answer? Now let's take a look at Mark. How long was Mark cleaning? Mark cleaned for 2 hours and 34 minutes. The person who will move up the ladder is the person who completed their activity in the shortest amount of time. Who is that? Mark will move up the ladder. His activity took less time than Linda's. Mark won our ladder competition. Now you try. As you're doing schoolwork or doing activities throughout your day, see if you can keep track of the time it takes you to complete them. This was our learning target for today. I can solve problems involving elapsed time. Give yourself a thumbs up if you feel like you got it. A thumbs to the side if you'd like more practice. And a thumbs down if you could use some help from a teacher or someone at home. Thanks for joining us today for Math Matters. I'm Miss Ott. I hope you have a great day and keep on counting.